The way we try to modify a car is so that you don't notice the modifications, because then it looks like you've done it right in my eye. It's almost got like two looks to it, this car. You know, you drive it around full height, looks classic, you slam it, it turns into a show car. The whole theme with this whole car is just keeping everything super subtle, but like quality throughout. Hey, I'm Darren Coleman, owner of DC Customs in the West Midlands, and this is a 1973 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. It all started with the steering wheel. The retro custom looks like with that steering wheel because it was a wooden rim steering wheel, and he bought that from a swap meet years and years ago, and it's all just stemmed from that whole look, the colour, the stance, everything. Customer had already stripped the car. He wanted to restore it himself. That was his plan from day one. Work just got too busy and it just sat on the shelf. That's when we got the phone call. So it had already been stripped, already been media blasted back to bare metal, and it was all in epoxy primer. Sorry, it was etch primer, this one was. And all the chassis was done as well. So there's a load of boxes of bits, engines, gearboxes, and he bought the air suspension. He already knew that he wanted on air suspension, shipped it to us, and yeah, over the period of about a year and a half, 1,500 hours, just evolved into this. 7 years ago, we actually finished it. So probably started about 8 years ago. I started from the chassis, building up really. So luckily the floor pans in this were perfect. We didn't have to put new floor pans in it. Probably a few little tweaks here and there, little bits around the edges, just made it perfect. Got all that done, fitted the air suspension and got it as a rolling floor pan, which is it's one of the things I like about the Volkswagens. You could put a seat on the chassis, put the engine in the back and just drive the chassis without a body on it, which is great for when you come to build up the car. So we got that, what we call the dry build, place the body on top of it and then you can start working the body. Did all the body mods, took the bumpers just in a little bit and all the door gaps, welded all the door gaps up. The one thing we wanted to do was just make it super clean. So all the holes that we didn't need were welded up. We were never going to run heaters on this. It's a summertime car only, plus it makes it all a lot cleaner inside. We didn't want much carpet on show as well. So there's a lot of work, probably weeks worth of work gone into the interior. If I remember right, we put new heat channels in it as well. But what we would have done with there, we'd take the heater tubes out of those so you could run the wiring loom down the heater channels to keep all the wiring out of sight as well, because normally that would just run in the car. And all the back seat area, that was smoothed out as well because we wanted all that in paint rather than, again, just chuck carpet over it. Again, in the front, a load of work, smoothing everything out. Just because it was old, basically. It was bashed, it was dented, as pretty much every other old car is. Engine bay, all smoothed out as well. And just doing little mods. There's so many little tweaks on this car, I've forgotten half of them, to be fair, because the way we try to modify a car is so that you don't notice the modifications, because then it looks like you've done it right in my eye. Bonnet pulls, they're all hidden. So rather than have a tube which runs from the bonnet catch all the way on show up to the front, so you just pull it out the dash or underneath the dash or whatever, that's all been hidden, so you can't see any cables. That's hidden under the wheel arch. Same at the back. All those parts are chromed as well. So everything, all these little details, just look like little jewels. The pedals, they've been chromed, drilled as well, chromed. All the swing arms, torsion arms on the back, it's all chrome, or painted up matte, in a contrasting like matte green underneath as well. It just suits it, and it's just super detailed underneath the brake pipes as well, all like just super neat. But the main thing on this was, we started talking about roof chops, and he said about a roof chop. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. He said, right, just go for it. I was like, what have I said here? You know, I shot myself in the foot just saying yes to all these mad things. So yeah, we decided to take 2 inches out of the roof, which is really subtle and most people don't even notice it. So the way that we do roof chops is try and keep all the proportions correct. The easy way to do it would be to just rake the windscreen back, not have to cut the roof too much and just lower it. It just doesn't look right, you know. So the roof was chopped into 4 pieces and a donor roof bought as well. So basically you piece the roof. So you drop 2 inches out, the best straightest part of the A and the C post, drop that down and put your new roof skin on top of it. So you got the minimum welding basically. Piece all that down, because if you don't realize about the roof chops, when you lower it, it widens the roof as well and it lengthens it slightly. So that's why you need 2 roofs to do a roof chop, to do it properly. Also the B post was raked forward as well. Another real subtle modification, but it just adds a lot, especially to the retro custom look we were going for. One of the main mods on this one that again, most people wouldn't even recognize it unless you like these cars and you know what they should look like. It was a left-hand drive car. The plan was always to do it to a right-hand drive car. We looked for probably 6 months while we were building this car for a right-hand drive dashboard. We found a couple just way overpriced for what they were, you know, so I decided to make one. We didn't know what we were going to do. It was like, right, we can't get a right-hand drive dashboard, we just have to make something, you know. Luckily on the shelf, I got a dashboard out of Volkswagen split-screen camper van. It had been sat on my side for probably the best part of 5 years, just sat there, you know. I thought I'll do something with it one day. And just for a laugh, I just grabbed it and put it in the car, like, let's do this, you know. And it was a left-hand drive, split-screen dashboard. So I knew it was never going to work. Put it in, I was like, whoa, it's exactly the same length as a Karmann Ghia, or same width. I was like, this could work, you know. So I started thinking about it. So what we did was I chopped out the normal Speedo binnacle from the split-screen camper van, flipped it upside down and thought, let's have a center Speedo put in this thing. And above that, we drilled a hole and put the clock in the top. Made it fit, had to make the side pieces, but fundamentally the front of it is a split-screen camper van dashboard, which anyone's into the Volkswagens will recognize straight away. The grille's in the center. In a split-screen camper van, you've got the stereo in center, and you've got grills either side. So what I decided to do was cut all those grills out and match them perfectly side to side, welding enough grills in so it matched either side. On this, we've put tweeters for the speaker, for the stereo, tweeters mounted behind there, so you've got those pointing straight at you. So the stereo sounds really good. Top of the dash was custom made. Basically all the hidden switches underneath. So yeah, it just looks right. It looks custom. It's just the focal point is sitting inside the car, and it just looks correct. You know, it just suits the theme and everything. So it's one of the biggest mods, one of the biggest things I'm happy with on this. You know, because everyone just stares at it. Also, the interior is just a nice place to be. It's super comfy. One of the things when you roof job a car is you're losing 2 inches off your headroom, of course. So these seats, Audi TT seats, I've put them in under the car in the past. They're just super comfortable. You take the headrests off, you can get them trimmed up dead nice, put nice patterns on into the leather. Super comfortable. So I made new seat runners for those, new mounts, mounted them as low as possible. All the height adjustments, that was all taken out. The bottom of the seats had a lot of modifications actually, just to lower them as much as possible. And in this, I've got more headroom in this now than my own car, which is a standard Karmann Ghia, so and placed them exactly where we wanted to make the driving position as comfy as possible. Back seat, again in standard Karmann Ghia, it's just 2 flat bits of foam. It's uncomfortable, it was never going to do for this, so that's all been sculpted to match the front ones as much as possible. The seats stitch design matches the fronts as well. The door cards, you'll see they are completely custom made. Had them trimmed up in leather as well, which runs into the back seats. The stitch design just completely follows through. And the back door card's completely custom made as well. This car's all been about retro custom keeping everything as clean as possible and as subtle as possible, really. The engine bay, again, that was cleaned up, just smoothing everything out. Battery was relocated behind the back seat. In the front, the compressor, because it runs air suspension, the compressor's hidden under the front tank, and the front tank is just hidden where the spare wheel well would go. Painted up in a matte lacquer, similar colour finish, but painted up in a matte paint to match the fuel tank as well. So the vision of this car was really started with the owner. You know, it's his look. If you like, you know, the retro kind of custom look, it just suits him. And I struggled with it at first, you know, because he wanted the steel wheels, he'd already bought the steel wheels as well, which for the theme of the car. If it was mine, I'd have probably gone candy paint and put some nice billet rims on it. You know, that was me back then, but it's just an ageless design. I think with a retro custom, in 20 years' time, this will still look correct. Whereas if you put like chrome wheels on it and whatnot, they get outdated, you know, it's a fad. The colour, he knew he wanted green with the colour. I said about the interior. The interior was more my design, if you like, the tan leather. We just knew it was going to match. But the colour, he knew he wanted green, so I did a load of spray out cards for him, you know, just trying to see which kind of green that he liked the most. We found 2 that we liked, but it was like, we just want something in between. So basically, this is a custom mix. There's no other car in the world that's painted up this mix, which again, I love to do on the custom builds we do. I love to do a custom mix paint. I've had a load of people ask me if they could buy this paint from me, which I just won't sell it. I'm tempted to paint my own car in it one day because I just love it. You know, it turns to green. It's got a load of gold in it. When the light hits it, it almost changes colour, but it's super, super subtle. The cream wheels, we had the gauges, custom made from Smith's gauges as well. They are the same cream to match the wheels as well, so they're one-off custom made for us. This was always going to be a driver. You know, for the first year, it got shown, and it's got almost 500 miles on it now, so it's not used a lot. It's a summertime car only, plus the owner's always really busy. But he just drives to town in it, drives to work in it on a sunny day. You know, it's got 500 miles in it, but we always wanted it pretty quick, so the engine was upgraded to I think it's about 2176 cc, so it's almost a 2.2 litre, 179 brake horsepower, I think it's running, similar torque. So it drives beautifully, it really does. It sounds awesome, stainless steel exhaust, nice mild cam in there. It's not a race engine, it's just a really nice mild torquey engine, you know. Gearbox has been uprated as well. That's like what we call a freeway flyer pro street gearbox. So it's beefed up enough for the power that it's running, but it's got a long fourth gear in it and a big ring and pinion. So you can cruise at 75 mile an hour in it all day long. And like I say, with the air suspension as well, it just drives really nice. There's probably two biggest difficulties with this one that we encountered. Because fundamentally, you know, it's a stock Volkswagen. It's just a lot of modifications that we've done to it, which is just time. The hardest part of it was probably the roof chop, because they're never easy, you know, but there's no difficulties in that. One of the hardest parts of that was getting the glass to fit perfectly and all the rubbers, especially on these doors. Building Karmann Ghia doors up is a nightmare. Even when they're standard, to be fair, you could spend a week doing the two sides, just getting the rubbers cut perfectly so everything just seals absolutely spot on. Getting the glass to fit was difficult. Plus the dashboard, you know, just a lot of the time with the custom builds, it takes as long to figure out what you're going to do as it does to do it. So, you know, in total, the dashboard probably took me a week to build, figuring it all out, chopping it, because you only want to chop things once, obviously, you know, because otherwise you're just making work for yourself. So figuring it all out, templating everything as much as you can, drawing it all out, cutting it, TIG welding it all in, dressing that so the metal works as good as you could possibly do it, which makes your filler work easier, of course, you know. So those two jobs were probably, they were definitely the biggest, hardest jobs on this. A lot of people don't know what this car is, unless you're into the Volkswagen scene, let's say, or you've been around these cars. But a lot of people think like it's a Porsche or they don't even know what it is, or an old Volvo. I've had that, a few people say that as well. But yeah, I've told so many people what this is and the story behind it and the history and things like that between the Karmann Ghia. And it is essentially a Volkswagen Beetle, but with wider floor pans and hand-built body by the Karmann factory. So yeah, not a lot of people know what it is, but it's wicked when you take it to shows. Everybody loves it. I've not heard a bad word said about it. First show we took it to was, I'm pretty sure it's the first, I'm sure it was the first show after we finished it. It was fitted 2017, and we had 3 cars there on plinths. There were about 10 cars there 10 plinths throughout the show. 3 of our cars that we'd built were on plinths. One was my own Volkswagen Beetle, one was this, and a camper van that we built. It's about 1,000 cars there in this show, and it won Best in Show, first time out, which absolutely blew us away. It's just dead nice to take it to shows and see other people enjoy it, you know. And at the shows, we'll take the wheels off and put wheel stands on so you can see all the detail in the wheel arches and all the chrome and the brakes and everything, you know. It's pretty easy to get everything for these cars, to be fair, these days. Metal work is limited. A lot of the parts you've got to get from donor cars, which is generally a rust-free car from America that's beyond repair, that they're just basically just chopping pieces up off it. But general repair panels like floor pans, heat channels, sills, you can get pretty much all of it. You know, it's this the big stuff. You can't get new doors, you can't get new bonnets, things like that, you know. Right-hand drive dashboards, you can't get those either, as we found out. But everything off this, like the engine, it's a Beetle engine. You can buy everything, you know. And the aftermarket scene for those engines and the performance side of all Volkswagens, actually air-cooled, it's massive. You can buy pretty much everything. And one of the things I like about this car is when it's raised up, because it's retro custom, it just looks really classic, especially in this colour. Yeah, it's got like Audi TTs in it, but with the tan leather interior, it still suits it. So raised up at like full height, a lot of people just think it's a perfectly restored classic Volkswagen, which is, it's almost got like two looks to it, this car. You know, you drive it around full height, looks classic, you slam it, it turns into a show car. Right, so I'm Darren Coleman, owner of DC Customs in the West Midlands. We started out doing Volkswagens. That's all we did back in the day. That was my thing. Went on to hot rods, custom cars. Now we're doing anything from supercars, wide body carbon fiber F4 RS12s, Lamborghinis, American hot rods. We pretty much do it all now. Anything custom, anything subtle, we love it all. You know, it keeps it interesting. Anything interesting, literally. So it was an absolute dream to do this one. Being a Volkswagen fan myself, we've loved absolutely every single minute of doing this one. So super proud of it.